It is absolutely beautiful today. A little chilly, but we're gonna go sit in the high tunnel. I don't know what he's getting into. I'm sure if he needs my help, he'll give me a call. But yeah, let's go sit in the high tunnel for a little bit and talk about this year's garden. It's crazy to be in this high tunnel and have it be as empty as what it is, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes you just need to do a complete clean sweep and start fresh, and what better of a way to do it than to do it in the beginning of the year. I am going to be probably starting a lot of my seeds here in the next, well, maybe possibly even today. I'll get my seed tray set up. I want to start some spinach and I want to start lettuce. I have a lot of plans for this high tunnel this year. I got a package yesterday and I was so excited to open it up and show you guys what's inside of it. This came from my good friends Greg and Mama Hoss is what we call her, over at Hoss Tools. If you guys aren't familiar with Hoss Tools, I really do want you to kind of go check them out. They have a YouTube channel. They also have their own seed company, but they do a lot of teaching. They share with you guys what they're growing, how they're growing it. I've been able to learn quite a bit, and everything that I've grown from them in my garden has been a huge success. Now, we got to talking at one of the last Homesteaders of America conference, and I brought up a thought for them to maybe start to look into. You know, a lot of people are starting to wake up and realize that the food system is not exactly what it is. And I'm not trying to put fear in you guys. I don't think I need to. I think that there's enough of that going around. But what I do want to express is I want to share with you guys that you have the capability to do something, whatever that might be. And I don't want to be fear driven. I want to be encouraging. And let me just tell you that the one thing that has helped me with all of the changes that we have all experienced, and I talk a lot about adaptogens, but adaptogenic herbs, that's my thing. I sat down and I had an opportunity to talk to Greg and Mama Hoss, and I wanted them to kind of look at possibly incorporating medicinal seeds into their selection of seeds. Now they have an abundance. They have culinary sections, which you guys, if you don't know, but many of our culinary herbs like thyme, like oregano, that right there, those are also medicinal. And so I asked them if they would possibly look into incorporating medicinal plants into their selection. Because one of the biggest things that I realized is that people who don't have much of a foraging background, that uncertainty, because that fear of not being able to properly identify a plant, I think is what stops people from doing a lot of foraging. That, and sometimes people don't have the location, the accessibility to go out and forage. So I asked them if they would look into offering certain seeds that they could possibly incorporate into their garden as well as their home apothecary. And this came yesterday. I was excited to give them a few suggestions on medicinal plants that people could start growing. Many of these seeds are also not only going to be beneficial for you, but they're also going to bring in the pollinators, which is then going to just help your garden grow. Okay, I'm really excited. Okay, this is definitely one of my absolute favorite seeds that we are going to grow. I have a good bit growing, but when I talked about adaptogens, you know, that ability for you to be able to just kind of streamline and maintain, focus on adaptogens. One of the first seeds that they are offering is holy basil. Now, I know a lot of people actually have started using holy basil. You can drink it in the summertime cold, which is amazing. But I add a lot of holy basil to the majority of my tea blends. But it is just truly a wonderful plant. It is so fragrant. It has thousands of flowers, and the bees absolutely love foraging on holy basil. Then they're offering chamomile. Again, chamomile is a lovely little flower, and it smells so much like honey. I absolutely love chamomile. I use it in many of my nighttime teas. You can actually tincture chamomile as well. It's very calming. It is an anti-inflammatory. It is also a sedative. And if you're planting a tea garden, holy basil and chamomile, 100%, that is perfect. Feverfew. Now, feverfew, you guys saw that I had that growing this year. Feverfew, I shared with you guys, this is actually one of my herbs that I specifically use for migraines. I use it to prevent my migraines. Now, when I have a headache, I don't use the feverfew, but if it's that right before, feverfew is great. I have a video on how I prepared it. It's bitter. It kind of tastes like aspirin, so I wouldn't necessarily put it in my tea, but it is really good. It's a vasodilator, one of my favorites that I use quite often, actually. Motherwort. Motherwort is very supportive of your cardiac system. It is for the heart. It is the mother. Now, it's bitter, so I wouldn't necessarily put it in a tea blend unless I just do a little bit, but I really like motherwort in a tincture. Now, as we go through these, I do want to get more in depth with the plants. My goal this year is I want to show you guys how to grow these, where to plant them, and then as they grow, I am excited to be able to show you how we process, how we dry, what do we do with it. It's going to be the full, like, start to finish, this is what we're doing, and it's going to help grow your apothecary. Whether it is your garden apothecary, your kitchen apothecary, there's a lot of plants that I just leave and I go out and harvest and use them as is, but during the winter months. That's what you need to kind of prepare for, is the winter months. Now, mullein. I know I've talked about mullein. Mullein has definitely made a name for its respiratory support. It grows big and tall, but the first year leaves, that's what you really want to harvest. And then after that, when you let it go to flower, you're going to have these beautiful little yellow flowers on it. You can harvest the flowers and you can actually put that in oil and use that in your ears. Some people will smoke mullein. I use it in tea form. I use it in tincture form. I will say it makes my nose completely tickle, and I will sneeze whenever I am blending anything with mullein because the little fuzz on it will tickle my nose. But I asked if they would consider putting mullein in it. And I know that this is considered a weed that grows. But the one thing that I've gathered from many of you guys is that you don't necessarily have a source to go out and forage for. So why not bring the plants in? Why not familiarize yourself with these plants? I want you to grow a relationship with these plants. I want you to watch how they grow in the beginning. And that's why when I go out and I forage, I go and I forage at all different seasons: early spring, mid-spring, early summer, late summer, early fall, late fall, and even in the wintertime. The reason is because I'm building my relationship with these plants, and I want to know how they grow. I want to see how they grow so that when I have that photographic memory in my head of like, okay, that little plant, I know what that is. I've seen it before. And so that is the best way for me that I have learned to go out and forage for. But if you don't have that ability to forage, you can bring these plants in and you can grow your relationship with them from start to finish. And that's what I'm excited for you guys about. So mullein, 100%, I'm so happy that they put this in, especially with all the respiratory stuff that has been going on. Catnip. All right, y'all know that if you have a cat that gets into catnip, you guys probably know that catnip is a crazy stimulant for cats, but for humans, it affects us differently. For humans, it is a sedative. It's very relaxing. So it's completely opposite towards cats. And I want to tell you a funny story. I don't know if I've ever shared this before, but when I was in high school and we had to do science fair projects, that was my science fair project in high school. And looking back at it now, I think it's hilarious because I really wanted to study how catnip worked on my cat and my dog and myself. My study found that the cat went crazy, I fell asleep, and my dog was fine. That was my science fair project, but I think it's completely hilarious that I have become the individual that I have, which I think is funny. Then we have peppermint. Now, peppermint's great for digestive issues. It is wonderful for your upset stomach. It is a little bit of a stimulant, so you do have to be mindful of that. It's lovely for a tea, whether it's nighttime, daytime, especially in the summertime. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll harvest a bunch of sprigs of peppermint, and I'll put it in a glass jar and let it sit in the sun. Now this one's kind of fun. We're gonna grow hops this year, not just for potentially homebrew. A lot of people think hops, oh, we're gonna brew beer. Actually, I'm gonna grow hops for my honeybees, and I'm also going to grow hops for our apothecary. Now I have hops, I've tinctured hops, I've used hops in a tea. I'm not the biggest fan of the hops flower in a tea. I think it's a beautiful flower. It's very unique, but I will tincture hops, and this is what I'll use for sleep. It's good for insomnia. It's an anti-inflammatory. I know it even has anti-cancer, anti-tumor properties, which I think is crazy, but there are more. And then I think it might be fun to try to make my own mead with my hops and the honey that I have from my bees. And hops are not only used for brewing beer, but they have medicinal properties as well. Yarrow. Oh, my sweet yarrow. Yarrow this is the warrior herb. Yarrow actually has a lot of medicinal properties, bringing on fever, helping fight colds. It's even good for your digestive system, but this one right here is one of my favorites to forage for. However, I realize that a lot of people don't have the ability to go and forage, so we're gonna teach you how to grow it. Which ones do we have? Oh, here. Okay, this one's cool. This one is lemon drop. This is the toothache plant. Lemon drop is fun. It's a beautiful little flower. So stunning. It's actually used if you have any oral soreness, whether it's your tooth or your gums, it will numb that area. So be mindful of that. But how cool, you know, instead of, if you have a toothache at home, which many people do, instead of running to the store to purchase something to put on their tooth to numb it, you know, you can go right outside once you have this thing growing and you can harvest a little bit and it does the same thing, if not better. Just be careful, because if you do too much, it's gonna numb quite a bit of an area. Don't ask me how I know. So that's a really good one to have. The whole thought behind this are, what are the common things that many people experience, and how can you have the knowledge and the tools in your toolbox to be able to allow the herbs to help support yourself? That's kind of what I love about this, and share it with you guys, of course. Now this one's my favorite, and I was really excited. Do you guys know that beautiful archway that I have growing in my garden? You know, the one that is just so majestic, and it's such a beautiful little plant. Passion flower, Passiflora incarnata. This is the passion flower that I have growing in my garden. There's a few different variety of passion flower, but specifically Passiflora incarnata is the one that actually has the medicinal properties that we use. I harvest the leaves, I dry the leaves, I make tea with the leaves, I do the flower, I do the leaves in a tincture form. This is such a relaxing herb, such a relaxing herb. It is very calming. And what I noticed is that it was a little challenging to try to come by seeds. More and more people are starting to grow gardens that are not only functional, but they're also beautiful. I will go sit in my passion flower fortress as long as possible. Right now it looks pitiful, but it's going to come back this year, and I'm very much excited that they are offering passion flower in their seed mix. Now hyssop, I love. My honeybees love as well. Hyssop is really good for your digestive system. You can use it as a tea, you can use it as a tincture. It smells so delicious, and the bees absolutely just devour the hyssop. Which one's next? Oh, coneflower. Okay, coneflower, beautiful flower. Also echinacea. Echinacea is used to help boost your immune system. It's also great for if you have a cold or a flu. It's been known to shorten the duration of whatever cold you might be fighting. I'll add coneflower or echinacea into my teas, especially when we are fighting something kind of funky. You don't want to use this for a long period of time, but if you need it, you'll end up having it. Lemon balm. Lemon balm is great for the bees. I absolutely love lemon balm. It is another really good nervine. It will help completely relax you and put you to sleep. If you tend to be very anxious, lemon balm is one that is really good to kind of help kind of cool your jets a little bit. But for tincture wise, lemon balm and passion flower mixed together, oh, that is, Teresa, my herbal school teacher, called that liquid Valium. So that is a great little plant that you can grow. And again, it has so many flowers and the bees and the pollinators just absolutely love it. The next one is actually horehound. So this one is going to be a fun one for me to introduce. And I did some reading that I'm very excited to do with horehound, but you can actually make horehound candy. So that is one thing that I'm gonna try this year. So the last one that they are offering is bee balm. Bee balm's beautiful. It is very much loved by our honeybees and our pollinators, but you can use it medicinally. It's good for soothing the throat. It's also considered an antimicrobial, used for colds and coughs as well, and also an anti-inflammatory. Not only are all of these extremely lovely for you to grow your apothecary garden, but I also want you to look into their culinary herbs that they offer. Look into the thyme, look into the oregano, look into the rosemary. I mean, these plants, they're here for a reason. They are here for a reason, and if you know how to use them and you know how to incorporate them into your life, just to support your overall health, your overall well-being. I think for individuals who are wanting to learn how to get into herbal medicine and wanting to understand it, and who might experience that uncertainty with foraging, or maybe the lack of location for foraging, I think by being able to grow these plants in your yard, in a small pot, in your area, in your space, however big that space might be, that's the type of empowerment that I want you all to experience. And I'm really excited to be able to take you guys with me and show you how I start them, where I plant them, and when it comes to harvesting and drying, preserving, tincturing, and all of the above. If anyone is interested in growing seeds, specifically from Haas Tools, I'll put the link down below. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and learn something old. Bye guys.